Farmers markets are ubiquitous throughout the region during the summer and fall months, but where do you go to get local goods during this time of year? The answer is at the farmers market. They're not just for warmer months anymore, and the state's longest running winter farmers market began in the city of Greenfield in February 2008. Before attending the 12-year anniversary of the Winter Fair this year, Connecting Point's Brian Sullivan traveled around Western Mass to see several of the farmers and vendors to get a look at their operations during the cold season in part one of his look at winter farmers markets.
The farmers market. For centuries, it was the way Americans did their shopping. Better roadways, transportation, refrigeration, and supermarkets saw to its demise, though. And it wasn't until the mid-1990s that some new life was breathed into the open-air shopping experience. Since that time, its popularity has grown by leaps and bounds, to the point now where we're seeing a sharp increase in the number of winter farmers markets as well. For the most part, when people think of farmers markets, sunny days and warm weather come to mind. But the winter farmers market is an entirely different animal than its spring, summer, and early fall counterparts. But before we take a look around here, we thought it'd be neat to go off-site, meet a couple of the vendors on their home turf to find out where and how some of this stuff is made. If these farmers were musicians, the market would be the concert tour, and the farm would be the studio where the music is produced. Here at Clarkdale Fruit Farm in West Deerfield, that recording studio is the cider house, and while the fields outside are bare, in here the band plays on. We were there for the production of one of the newer members of the cider lexicon, one which only joined the family recently by chance.
Well, a few years ago, about this time of year, we had a bunch of pears that weren't very good to sell for fresh market, so we decided to make cider out of them, just like you do with apples. And it's a real mild, sweet drink, and people like it.
They can add my name to that list of people who approve of its delicious flavor. But while the pears are wonderful, and these fields also produce peaches, plums, cherries, and grapes, the number one output is the apple. The Clarks have been growing them here since 1915, and Thomas, along with his son Ben, are now the third father-son combo to carry on that tradition. Overall, the farm covers between 250 and 300 acres, with around 50 of that used for fruit production. The cider press season runs from October to March. They sell wholesale to select local businesses, but the farm itself is a retail operation, and during these midwinter months, that operation slows down a bit. That makes the winter market handy not only for fans of Clarkdale Farm cider, but for the farm as well.
It's a good extra income as well as a way to get rid of extra stuff. And see, we go to the regular farmers market in Greenfield every week from the end of July until November anyway, so you got a loyal following that comes there.
And from one father-son operation in West Deerfield to a father-son, other-son, and mother operation, one need look no further than about 15 miles northwest to the little town of Coleraine, Massachusetts. This is the home of Sunrise Farms, where if there's a maple tree on the property, it's probably been tapped. The land has been in the family for over 125 years, and the sons, who are the fifth generation here, are taking full advantage of the sugar bush. Gone are the days of the hanging bucket. In its place, a series of tubes that run from tree to tree over portions of this roughly 400-acre farm, which eventually lead to this spot, the pump house. From there, it's pumped underground, where, as Eric Lively shows me, it can end up in these holding tanks in the sugar house. After a lengthy process, some of which is top secret, we end up here, with this sweet nectar of the maple gods. Lively explains this final step.
We take the syrup that's been in cold storage in our stainless steel drums, and we put it in the packer, and heat the syrup up to 180 degrees. And that process, when we pack it at 180 degrees, it seals the product and also kills any bacteria that's in the bottles.
When we stopped in, they were packing 3 grades of syrup: amber, dark, and very dark, which is cooking syrup. All 3 types are likely set to go to market, where the big hit with attendees is this little green and white label. But it's not just maple syrup that they're producing here. There are cattle used for beef. The family is also involved in purchasing, renovating, and flipping properties in the area, because even though it may seem like there's enough syrup to keep them busy year-round, it's still a small operation compared to some of their competitors just a few miles to the north in Vermont. And property taxes on 400 acres of land don't pay for themselves. But in the end, for the Livelies, a long day in the farm working with family still beats any day at the office.
We don't have to go clock in somewhere and, like oh God, it's the case of the Mondays, or I just want to get to Friday, Working for yourself is rewarding where, you don't have a boss, but working with your family is pretty awesome. And I hope my kids, want to follow in the footsteps as well.
And just as the Lively family and the Clark family combined for over 200 years of service, this next group is on the opposite end of that spectrum. Massachusetts Artists and Foods just became a 5-owner co-op at the outset of 2019. What they lack in longevity, they make up for with a popular product. Since James Caleb Jackson introduced granola as a breakfast cereal in 1863, it's never seen a decline in popularity. Okay, that last part is made up, but it's really not too far off the mark. The idea for this startup was to use locally sourced ingredients and support local musicians with their product. They do so by letting them name certain blends of their granola, like Old Flame and Bella's Bar Talk.
We decided that when we were going to make flavors after making our original blend, we were going to ask local groups of musicians for what kind of locally producible fruits and herbs would at least represent them, or that they would like to be eating regularly, or that they'd like to share with the world.
Using this commercial kitchen space in Holyoke, the group meets on select days to bake, and then form this rudimentary assembly line to package the product. While they might enjoy having accounts in some Western Mass independent grocers, the farmers market becomes their ultimate test kitchen, where they normally bring about 100 pounds of pre-bagged granola.
As a really small business, the farmers market's really important for us because we'll make a new flavor here in the bakery and we'll make a label for it and we'll bag it up, but we're not sure that our wholesale customers are going to definitely like it. We're not sure that our main audiences are going to like it. So we get to test them, we get to give out samples, we get to see our community, we get to buy from like Clarkdale Orchard right at the market and take their products back here and kind of cycle through. We get to see the seasonality of our local fruit, which we add to our blends. And it also gives us a way to be hanging out with friends while we're at work, which is really nice.